Let's try that one. Okay, thank you. Let's see. So here's the setup. I'm trying to change this to instructor, and it should say instructor.id, and it doesn't. All right, thanks for catching that. I could have gone an hour like that. All right. And the approach I want to take, because these are all structs, I don't want to change them. And they're very simple objects. This is the actual table name with the actual column names. And there's nothing we're doing that needs to change that. It's really this instructor thing that gets a little messed up. All right. And so my idea is that the top level view that holds these fields probably is the database view. I think it should own a dictionary, and the dictionary should be not from the string, because we might have the same table twice, but from the ID of this entity. So this, I don't know what we call it, table selection? Is that? I'm not quite sure. Well, we'll have to see. But at any rate, this whatever this object is, I want to take the key of that, the ID, which many of them have, but not all of them, and map that ID to the string that's the renamed version of that. And then when I display the joins, I want to I'll take the join object, but then I'll look up the ID of that class, not and use that to get the name that I show for the table. Now, I have not looked at this at all during the break. I thought I'd get a little time to do things, but just the way it worked out, we were traveling most of that time. All right, so here's our view. And this is where I'm thinking I'm going to put the map, because this owns both the table view and the joins view. So it's kind of the common ancestor of those from a view point of view. All right. And then let's go see how these are working. So all tables view gets table selection. Now this is variable. Okay. So the table selection is this entity, because we decide if it includes a table or not. But if we change if we give it an ID, I guess I'm confusing myself a little, because in the Swift UI world, a view is a struct, so we can just throw it away and do things with it. But in this world, this is the real domain stuff. We're not throwing these away just because we change a field or something like that. All right, but my thought is that if you knew the table selection, because it knows the metadata and it knows, well, we hope it knows about renamed. It knows the visible columns. Yeah, I think this is the right entity. Okay, so, boy, we're doing stuff in the views so much. I guess what I'd like to know is, if you've changed this, I guess on the change of that, then we need to do some stuff. And I think seems like we already do stuff when that happens. On change of current database, no, that's different. Maybe we don't. I added so many things and took them out as they didn't quite work last time. Okay, let's see. So is there a test? Database view. No, that's not what I wanted. Table selection. That's the interface, and that's the test. Okay. Well, I guess I'm not going to test that it has an ID. And then here's one table view that's got the rename field. I mean, that's basically one chunk of table and fields. If they change, yeah, okay. Let's give this an ID. Let's make it identifiable. All right, and then public var ID equals UUID. Okay, so when you create one of these, we'll generate a new ID. Attach it to it. So we can put this in a table if we want to. Okay, now database selection. No, database view. Okay, I'm going to give it state. And I guess this is going to be table to rename. To new name. And the type of this is dictionary. Well, we can just do this. I think I can do this equals. Okay, we're going to map from a string, no, from a UUID to a string, I think. Okay, equals that, nothing. All right, so, okay. Keeping this straight. So this thing is known to us up here. Now, what I think has to happen is if somebody changes this, you should, I guess you should update that table, that dictionary. Right. So as they edit this, we want to update that dictionary to say, hey, map this thing to that. But that doesn't seem right. I've got a whole list of these objects already somewhere. Bridge selection, table selections. Well, I'm not sure how those got there. Okay, database selection. Well, I don't know. Maybe we don't need that. All right. I guess what I'm thinking is if you, our joins right now, let's look at those. Yeah, it's scoped columns. I think a join is maybe not, it's not a table.field equals table.field. It's really, a database selection equals another database selection. So what I'm thinking is the join doesn't have enough information, and maybe it's tracking the wrong thing. So let's see what we got here. These are joins. I don't know how to do this without changing a bunch of stuff. Give the tables multiple names we use in the joins. Well, the thing, I don't know, maybe the thing is the table name right now, the table name in a join, well, scoped column is, it's the actual table name. So the table name in the database. But the reality is our valid queries can make use of the same table multiple times, and like this person ID. So if I wanted to make this shows the class name and the instructor name, but if I also wanted the student name, I would merge this table in, but person FK would have to be to a different table because this one's already used for instructor and linked on that. We'd need another person table linked on student name to that class. So we definitely need the same table twice, but it has to be distinguished. The two cases have to be distinguished. Now, I don't know. This scope column is so simple right now, and that's a good thing. But like this, I don't know. The types maybe aren't strong enough, but this string, the table name that is the string, that's coming from the database. That came from the metadata somewhere. Was that in here? Yeah. This thing knows the metadata. When you're creating joins, you're just using metadata. Let's see. It's you. All joins view is database.ScopedColumns. Database. And scoped columns, yeah, is simply mapped from those things. Yeah, I'm beginning to think that's just the wrong place for it. Query would still need the table joined as a new name. Yeah. I'm not sure. I mean, I think this scoped columns, this is coming from the database metadata, and it's really just the original table name with the original field name. All those combinations basically is what this is. We are going to rename the columns too, yes. Because like here, this is name and name, and then if it was with the person too, right, we'd have name for the instructor, name for the student, and name for the class. All our columns would say name on top because they just come from the database columns. So we will need to rename those as well. But I don't know, I'm feeling, I guess it's one of these things, like I'm going to have to make a pretty substantial change to make joins work with table selections, not table metadata. The metadata is interesting enough, although I suspect I don't need it here. What are we doing with it? We're saying I got metadata. Who uses that metadata? So, okay, so the table, the name comes from the metadata. Yeah, I think that's legit. But we don't really need, we could have passed that in, I guess, is my thought. Oh, Tooks96, welcome. Yeah, Happy New Year. So we're trying to figure out how to rename tables. Eventually, we're going to have the same table in there twice, so we need to make sure the names are distinct and all that. All right, I'm thinking. Where's my view? Oh, okay, I took that back out. The joins. Yeah, I think a join is going to have to be different. And I think it's going to work the same. Until we do the actual rename feature, they should show the same stuff. So it won't feel different on the outside, but it'll let us go somewhere different. All right, so table selection. Yeah, I don't know if I need that ID now. I don't think I do, because I'm going to just actually hold the actual table. So, all righty. Okay, and we've got the renamed string. Right. So I think a join. I'm going to rename this all columns. Columns. Okay. Let's do something to get some progress here. I think that's because in contrast to visible columns, you sometimes need to know the whole list, and sometimes you just need to know the ones that are not marked out. Okay. I think this one is not as critical. Yeah, congratulations. It's hard to make decisions like that. And you're making a decision for a few years also. That nothing prevents you from revising that decision if 3 years or 5 years from now it looks like, no, this is not a good idea. Then you've got that other option. And in a way you'll have whatever you learn from this side. But I hope the iOS job market keeps going. I definitely have seen a couple new jobs this week listed somewhere, in the places I watch, and yeah, that's good. People want them. All right. That all passed. Let's check this in. We just did a rename. Columns to all columns. Okay. We had two messages. One's our usual one. I think this is the same. Yeah. What'd that be? All right. So I guess we got to look at the view here. These joins. This is bridge selection.joins. Okay. Selection is our database selection. He owns join. Now, sorry. I think I think join is only used by this code. Database selection, database view, join view. Yeah, I think this stuff is okay with that. All right. So I think so joins. Well, somewhere we have code that adds a new join. All right, and that's in well, here's the action. Okay. Bridge selection joins, copy the first join and join something to something. That's when you click that button. Okay. Now. Yeah. And this really, I should flip it over to being a Mac app. That's on my list. It feels like more of a desktop, maybe an iPad app, but desktop seems like the most natural. All right. So join. I guess I want to get to scoped columns. And scoped column. Table. Now, again, I think this is only used for this database stuff we're doing. Join, scoped column, table join analysis. Yeah, which I don't think that will care. Right. So oh gosh. So I think the table, at least for now, the table, the renamed table, if you knew the database selection you were working with, sorry, not the database selection, the table selection. Okay, so unfortunately that requires you to pass more in. Yeah, now this is where I think we got messed up before. If I pass a table selection in, that's no longer the, well, it's a value object, so it makes a copy of it. And if I use that in the join and I've still got it in the database table section when I change visibility or rename, it doesn't change this value. So we've got to somehow make this attached to that. And maybe that just means I should be doing classes here and not oh gosh. But the thing is, like when the Swift UI works with structs, everything works so well, and maybe it's the UUID. Maybe I am going back to that. Like, if I tracked all those things, so if this had an ID and the join maintained the ID, I don't know what it does with it. The scoped column. It's really, this description would not be workable without the translation. All right. I feel like I'm going to tear apart a bunch of stuff. That's why I keep holding off here. Oh, right. So what if the table was the UUID of the table selection? Then I can't just do this because he doesn't know how to get from the UUID to the actual table name. But maybe that's okay. Maybe there's some other way to draw these things or describe them. All right, I'm going to add it. Okay, let's do that. So this is not hurting anything. Table selection ID of UUID. The only thing that's hurting is anybody who creates one of these needs to get a UUID. All right, so we'll build and let it tell us where those are. Okay. Scoped column, it needs table selection ID. Okay, and this is in the database. Okay, well, we can put one in. Really? Oh. All right, and then here, where was I just now? Database selection. Okay, let's do the same thing. He already has imported foundation. Okay, let's see. Table might need to be more than a string. Yeah, I think it's going to. The question is how to link it in, and I don't know. This may be not the. I don't know if it's the right way to go or not. Where's ScopedColumn? So I'm putting this in temporarily and see if we can get it working, but the table, eventually the table is going to go away, and it's just whatever the selected ID is, that's the one you're choosing. Nothing wrong with that. But then the description doesn't look at these table selection ID yet. So I think we can run like this. I mean, this is in the scope column. Yeah. Well, okay. Lots of tests. Okay, I'm going to make it. Most of these don't care. All right, let's give it an init. I'm going to make that optional. Table of string, column of string. Okay, that should make the build happier. There we go. Okay. All right, who failed? Is there a button for that? Assert equal, yeah. New table another column is not equal to new table another column, new table my column. And I think the reason is these scoped column has implicit equality, so it just made everything come off there. Let's make this extension. Now, let's see if I can pull it a little bit. Okay, so we're going to leave the IDs out. Yeah, so let's see. So let's do this. So the idea is that, well, we're pulling data from a database, setting up the tables and linking them together, but the functionality of this thing is more it's more designed around quick sorting and stuff like that. So like here, if I made filter the first column, then everything sorts according to filter. And so the sort order is this column, this column, this column, this column. And then there's a bar that lets you ignore some columns. So if you don't care about columns after the first three, oops, I got it too far. Okay, we'll put it there. When you put the bar somewhere, it just ignores these other columns. They're just grayed out. But it basically sorts by these. You can sort up and down. You can sort only matching entries and various things like that. So when I do it with my example with the registration, I've got classes, registrations, and students, and I can use it like if I sort by class and then student, I can generate a roster for a class. If I sort by the class itself and put the students here on the right of the bar, then I can count how many students are in that class, say. So these kind of quick flip arounds to make different views of your data like that. Okay, so if you just import a CSV, you got all the columns, they're all just laid out. It's a very kind of flat layout. This directly, that's what this is doing. It imports a CSV. If you got a database, then you have multiple tables and they're linked together and some of them are this and some of them are that, and you don't want to see some fields, and there's a lot more complexity once you pull the database into the picture. And the complexity we're really chasing down is I need to be able to have the same table used in a query, but used for two different reasons. In this case, once to get the instructor name and once to get the student name, but they're both in the person table. because instructors can take classes and stuff like that. So we can't just create separate instructor table. And so the accommodation I'm building for that is I want you to be able to rename a table name and reference the join. I'd like to reference person. Well, I'd like this to be instructor.id in this case. I'd like to rename the instance here. Did I click that? Okay. And so we've got, would you be able to, so you can use it for yourself? For me, I have this festival I help with. So, it's a music festival. Some music festivals you go and you just listen to bunches of bands. Okay. The other kind is you go and you take classes. Musicians go to these festivals and take classes. And that's the kind I'm helping a friend with, that I basically do the registration for him. So, I'm designing this for my use case. That's kind of my prototype use case, that I get these email notifications or dumps from another system that actually, has web forms on it. And then when I get that data, I want to be able to generate, for each student, I want to list their classes so I can give them a little sheet that tells them what classes are going to what day. For each class, I want to list the instructors so I can know who's where. And various other things, track stuff in the registration, have they paid and all that. So my immediate use case is make me happy with that. But I feel like, there's lots of times you're kind of bouncing through the things and you'd like a tool that can do that quickly. So, I've also looked at we haven't done too much with it. I think this is open file. Oh, this is different data. But I also think this is sort of would be an interesting interface to my email. I've got stuff that's by date, to and from, and subjects, and then maybe search the body for stuff, that I want to quickly filter down, where's all the messages from Fred, and boop, just quickly get down to that. So I think it's somewhat general, it's useful in different contexts. But if it makes me happy, the way I do this stuff now is I use Excel spreadsheets and then pivot tables inside those. And it's not horrible. It's certainly, it's certainly doable. But I think I can get something that's just very focused. And, I want to, for the case of each student, what classes are they taking? I would love to, make a template of some sort and spit out the contents of the class and where it is and all that stuff, So I think it could be a very helpful tool for me. And if it's helpful enough for me, I'm guessing it'll be helpful for others. So, but yeah, let's get me using it. Build a web app. I did something like that at some point, just not before I was doing Twitch even, but just a version of this that worked with web tables. And it was, it's kind of, it's doable. For sure, but I just didn't have the pieces together to do it. And the database stuff, I didn't have that well integrated in and all that. And it just felt more natural to have it as more of a desktop app for me. I don't think, if it's an iPad app, I think, that's kind of there. I don't know. It feels like I'm getting a better experience from this. The tables, it was very hard on the web stuff to only bring in the stuff, like this one, I bring in about 50 entries at a time. And, it's all kind of cached and this and that. And, it would be interesting on the website too. Yeah. If this were my business, I'd be more concerned about making it work across those environments, with what I do with it, it's partly for fun, partly for me to get, experience with Swift, partly for, me to get examples. So when I talk about refactoring and stuff like that, which I do, I write about and so on, having real code to show for that is an advantage. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I never warmed up to the JavaScript environment, I guess. I did stuff with it, but this seems more fun. And yeah, we'll see. But yeah, for now, this is what it is. All right. Yeah. So let's see, back up a suggestion or two. So I think this table selection ID, that really is the type that we're talking about. So I'm going to do the halfway thing. I'm going to say type alias, and I don't want to use table because that's already kind of loaded. I don't know, table reference. And I'm just going to say that it equals UUID and then use that down here. Okay. And then those, what's the problem? I don't know. He's lost. Where were those? They were database view. Whoops. Let's find table selection ID. Well, I really should do text. Okay, so it was here. And I can do this table reference. So I can use that type even there. I think we'll do it differently in the long run, but that's okay. Table selection ID of table reference equals table reference. Okay, that should all build. And this test should pass because we changed. Yeah, it's more fun with Swift at this point. But I mean, I did some stuff, some experiments, ran into some things, and just kind of like put it aside. All right, so we've introduced table reference. So scoped column doesn't depend on table's name, and we changed scoped column dot equals to ignore that reference for now. All right, and whoops, I think to do, let's capture that. So we are introduce a table reference to scoped column. Okay, now the place that I'm not sure about is who uses description, and it's probably implicit, so it's kind of annoying. Scoped column, scoped. Well, we use it here. Yeah, this thing of getting the piece over there. Yeah, well, if I finish this and want to get ambitious on a web project, maybe I'll do that. Yeah, there is room for a back end, maybe. I don't know. I mean, maybe you don't have to, because like here, I've just done that. I've just used database access. I'm just using it more carefully than I was before. So, all right. Well, there's description, but I think database view, or was it joins view, all joins view? Right. That's the thing that puts this out. He does scope column selector. Choices, scoped columns. Right, that's coming from somewhere. Oh. So we show the one we've got, and we show the choices coming from scoped columns. But scoped columns, well, let's look at this thing. Somewhere, yeah, there's description. Okay. All right. So what's this object? I think the key is to get the description. The old way was print it out and print out the table, print out the column. The new way is I'm going to have to pass some other structure in that uses table reference. So the other structure is going to be table reference goes to database table selection. And that is where you're going to look up the table name is going to come from that. Now, I don't know if that's going to screw up comparable too. Last language I'm using, well, I mean, probably Kotlin. Yeah, I need a smart way to get the name of the table from the table reference. So, I guess I've kind of been assuming we'd pass something in, but that's not convenient for scoped column. I guess maybe another approach. I don't know. I'm bouncing around too much, but so what I was assuming is there's going to be some dictionary coming in that we'll use when we want to get the description, and it's going to be you know, table column, table reference mapped to table selection, and let the description use that. But then this uses that too, and that's because he's sorted. That's going to be a challenge. The other way I'm thinking now, and I don't know if it's better or worse, if somebody updates a name, could you go through the joins and just say, hey, joins, update that? Yeah, I'm not sure the smart way, like what's the right way to get that in there? If this thing references a dictionary, I don't think that's going to do it. I guess I was thinking the dictionary would come in at the time you asked for the description. Because in the the one join view, we would be able to pass that down. My alternative, I'm thinking, is what if when you change the name of a table, it goes through all the joins and says, hey, if you reference the old table name, now reference this. But that, I don't think that's going to work either. All right. I don't know. Okay. I can certainly build up database view. Okay. Let's try putting a different structure in, but this is table ref to table selection is table reference goes to table selection, starts out empty. Now bridge.selection.table selections. Table selection. I think we set this up somewhere. Passing it. We're taking the table selections. Tables enumerated. No? We do this in the tests. Where's this? Oh, here it is. Database table metadata. Mapping each one to a table selection object. Okay. So I think this is when we change the database, we need to set that data structure up. So, a scope column manager, something holds columns and the mapping. Well, I think it's this. I think this view is the thing that has to hold both, or well, the bridge selections. Maybe. Let's see, database selection. Maybe it's database selection. He knows all the table selections. Yeah, maybe he's the thing that knows this. Well, no, you got to pass it to the joins, and he does not know the joins, does he? No, he knows the selections. Oh, he does know the joins. I'm going to leave it up here for the moment. And I know there's a way to initialize this thing. Table reference selection equals this. Okay, so I want to take these values that we just built up, these table selections, and I want to map them. Okay, maybe I want to do it this way. Equals this with bridge selections, table selections, something. Close this thing. All right, so if I take each table selection, all right, let's look up dictionary. Okay, initialize unique keys with values. Okay, so bridge table selections map. And we want to write $0 ID, which may not exist, and $0. Is that going to do it? Okay, table selection. Let's make him identifiable again. Back and forth. Okay, so I think what we've done is I've created this structure held by the database view. It maybe can go in database selection, but we'll come back to that. It has the identifier of the table selection and the table selection itself. All right, that should be no problem. I guess that's redundant, yeah. Lower ACL. Well, okay, maybe this doesn't have to be public. It can just be there. Okay, so make database view, hold a map from table reference to table selection. All right, now the description. I think the sort is going to fall apart, but the description should be okay. All right, so let's get description, ScopedColumn. I don't think he's going to be custom string convertible anymore. I think he's just going to have that capability, but we're going to need we're going to need the value of that map to make any sense of it. Okay, so this is no longer that. Take out that. Okay, this should still be okay. All right, now everybody should be complaining how they get to it. Yeah, that's already broken. Well, this will do for now. Still should be complaints. Type of string, description, okay. This one, we're going to make that parens. The description here. So I guess I want to put another field on. Well, these don't change once they're created. Well, let's make this identifiable. Okay. Now this, we don't need this anymore because we're identifiable. Okay. Now these I think are just complaining about description, yeah. Okay. Let's try again. No, we still got a problem. No? Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a lot of places using the description for in the real code, the production code. It really does boil down to this one column, one table view, one join view, whatever that was. All right, so what we did was we made scoped column dot description be a function. But the less than, all right, who cares that it's not, if it's comparable? Let's see that. I know the editor's going, losing its mind. All right. Let's take out comparable. Let's take out this. Somebody should complain. We must be sorting those somewhere. Yes. Okay. And then database sorted. Okay. This, we can switch the way we're doing sorting. Okay, this is really the determinant there. All right, so sort by, can I do this? And I think, LHS in that. Okay, now I think the fact that there's two of these right now is probably a flaw. It probably means we're fighting where that behavior belongs. But I think for now, this'll hold us. It's awkward as heck, but okay. Mapping by the descriptions. I think it's okay for now. Okay, so I'm going to take this off. I'm not sure how he wants this. Well, I think that might be right. I don't know. Okay. ScopedColumn. That's an old message. Okay. This might not be. No. I think it is an old message. Okay. Let's see what we did here. I think we just pulled the sorting out, basically. Pull sorting out of ScopedColumn. All right. I don't know why I'm working in a little tiny window. Okay. Right. So table reference to ScopedColumn. Pull sorting out of ScopedColumn. And we also make description a function rather than a property. Okay, allow renaming of tables. So I think what we're going to do now, I want to make the description depend on that data structure we put up in view, this thing. See, I don't know if this will help. convinced that we did the right thing. I don't know. All right. So this table reference thing, I want that. I guess it's this. I feel like I'm still just pushing through the path. I'm sorry. Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna make this thing show up. I don't know if I can. All right, let's see who breaks, because there's going to be some places, lots of tests for one thing. Yeah, only one real one. Scope column selector needs it. Yeah. Type cannot conform to sequence. No, that's a weird one. Why is it no longer conforming to a sequence? Did we reference this one? I'm hoping we use the other one. Well, that's not the specific one I want. Database.ScopedColumns. That is coming from database right now. Why is that not conforming anymore? I don't know if these other errors are triggering that. All right, so what I got to do is get this passed in. I don't know. I guess if it works, it's its own justification. This is this. All right, now Alt U needs one of those. For this of table reference to table selection. Okay. Now one join view needs this. Now this thing's going to need that too. Now this I don't get. That why it didn't complain before. Table and columns for. Did I demand it in there? I think I did. Yes. Oh, the complaint is here. Okay. Yeah, I think we're using UUID. Oh, whatever that thing is. I think we're using UUID up until the last minute when we need the description. We're going to dig it out of this table. Yeah, I do think I can pass this more like stick it in the environment, or where you don't have to pass it to every sub thing when they just pass through. But it seems like some more of these are not passing through. But this one's weird. What is the problem? Do we not have a table? We don't have one of those. Well, I really do think this one should be going away, but looks like we need it for a while. Well, it's not as much as I thought. Okay. Database uses database.scoped columns. Button uses it. Stop. Okay, I'm gonna make this a function. And then we'll pass that in once we have the function going everywhere. Okay, we still have that one place. Oops. Yeah, that one. Table reference. To selection. This doesn't know that. What is database selection? That's the same problem. Well, who references this? Database selection. Lots of people do that one. Huh. I think it's complaining. I think the messages for pipeline, this dot this dot this, I think it's just not as good. I think it's just getting confused because these variables don't exist. All right. Let's add the variable. Well, let's add this. Okay, I'm hoping that takes care of the message. Oops. Still getting that. Let's compare SQL database selection. That's fine. Well, I don't see why that would confuse flat map. And the sorted shouldn't change anything. Okay. I don't think sorted should do anything. All right, does that affect that? Is sorted, I always get these mixed up. There's sorted, there's sorting, and sort. Returns the elements of the sequence. Returns a sorted array. That seems like the right thing. Yeah, I don't think that's the problem. Okay, so this thing returns an array of scoped columns. If you call sorted on it, I don't see why it shouldn't return an array of... Oh, I didn't say by? Shouldn't need to. It's the last argument and it's a closure. Sorted $0, $1. Maybe I could switch to those, make it a little shorter, but I mean, sorted should return an array of HTTP responses. That's what they look like. That's a var. That's a var. It should have access to that. Oh, now it's... Oh, I put it back? Sorted. Well, sorted returns an array. Why is it saying it returns empty? Now, sort returns empty, I think. Yeah, that's just a function on it, so it doesn't... It sorts it in place. No return value. Sorted returns that. Sorted by returns that. I don't know. I'm just going to put the by in there. Does that help anything? that all it is? Okay, I don't think that should be needed. Type is ScopedColumn. Now these, the tests. Oh golly. Only being fair to any. Do we have table selection? I'm just going to pass it empty. Scoped column tests. Oh my gosh. It's some function that returns what is passed in. Add some function that is passed in. Yeah, I mean, The table reference is not coming through. But I'm gonna just to try and get through this, push through it a bit. I mean, I think we're still kind of at an experiment that we haven't proven that it's going to work. Now, the fix on the other one was just to make this explicit here. I don't feel like it should be required, but we're still in the midst of a mess, right? Okay, let's build. Then we'll take a break. Do we need a mapping still? Yeah, I think some of these are going to need a mapping and some of them aren't. The test may be too primitive on the scoped column thing. Yeah. We'll see. Okay, if that built. All right, let's run this. I'll let that run while we're taking a break. So let's take a 3 or 4 minute break, and we'll come back. It should fail a number of tests because we're just throwing in empty mappings. They should probably blow up. All right, but we'll come back in 3 or 4 minutes and see what happens. All right, we're back. I ran the tests and they all passed, and I've run them again and they get a syntax error. So something's just weird. I think, okay, those messages were kind of old. Okay, but the test passed, and I think the reason is a little funny. They're passing because we're not doing anything real with this table we passed in. Okay, so I think, let's see, where's that scope column test? Table selection. Scope column. All right, let's start here, and we have scope column test somewhere here. Nope. Okay. All right, I'm going to modify this name. I'm just going to say reference to selection. It's still too big. Okay. Okay, let's push this. Make scoped column require a map from table references to table selections. We pass it throughout, but some tests use empty maps. I think those tests will have to change eventually. All right, we'll stage, commit, and push. Push. Yeah, nothing uses the mapping right now. So, I mean, it's interesting, but yeah, nothing uses it. Okay, so what I would like to do, All right. If you have right. So what I want to do is make the old behavior work, but pull it from table selection from this map instead. And if the map, right. So let's say, let mapped table equal reference to selection of what? Well, I guess it's got to be this table selection ID. Does that seem right? Otherwise, let's make it a question mark. It's sort of a shouldn't happen thing. Provide type string to argument type table selection. Reference to selection. Oh, yeah. That dot table. Else the question mark. And this is a return. Okay. And now I think this is mapped table and a bunch of tests break. So the, oh man. Okay. Yeah. Okay, let's see who breaks. I want to work on scoped column tests first, though. Okay. So here, we're not getting my table.myColumn. We're getting nothing because we don't have a valid map here. All right. So I think what we have to do, let table selection equal table selection with a table string. Okay, it's my table. Columns are only my column. Okay, so we got a table selection. We create a scoped column. Now this, let's go here. I'm going to make this reference. And this is a little weird. It's like another backwards TDD kind of thing. So I've got the valid tests, and I'm making what should be in effect a refactoring, although it's a pretty stretched argument to say it is. But we passed in, instead of using this data directly, we pass in something that holds that data, and then we're trying to use that. Theoretically should be okay, but has not worked out for us so far. Oh, come on. Okay, I'm just going to make this reference ID, and some stuff will break. colors should be messed up now. Okay, back to the tests. Right. Okay, so now this should have a reference ID. Should be table selection.id. And the table reference, my table column. I'm not so sure about those. Okay. And then this should be tables table selection.id maps to table selection. Okay. Now I think this test should pass. What's the matter here? Oh, okay. Yeah, I think this test should pass now. So yeah, we're still using table names. So I'm trying to get a current behavior using the information from the place we want to pull it, is how I would say it. So ScopedColumn, if we had implemented this table mapping first, then it should have gotten this from the reference table field. Now let's go to that thing, which is table selection. Right? Okay. I'm going to call this original table. Okay. And oops. No, this one. Okay. Take the reference. If it succeeds, look up the original table and return that. Otherwise, an error, question mark thing. It's kind of a shouldn't happen. All right. This test does that now, so it's okay. Now this one, this is testing the sorting. Okay. We're going to need multiple selections to do this. Unfortunately, I hate to make it more complex, but I don't think there's, in some sense, I don't think there's a way around this, because these table selections, they really do need to involve the table selection entity and not just the database metadata. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, this one needs the 4 instances. And some of these table names are going to disappear after a while if this works. Okay, table selection with the stuff. Okay, now let's make the map. Let references equal, and then let's just do table selection a.id goes to table selection a. Okay, now the scoped column, right? That's what takes the extra argument, reference ID. Okay, he's going to need the reference ID is table selection a.id. This one gets B. This one gets C. This one gets D. Okay, and so yeah, we got bad ones because they don't have the names in them. All right, but now I think we're passing everything in. We got the table selections, we've got the reference map, we give it the reference, and now the description calls need to have our references. Okay, and my hope is this test passes. I think it should. Okay, my table a column, my table my column, my table my column, my table the column is my column. My table a column, my table my column. Did we? Yeah, we left off this. Oh no, we didn't. Use column names in the references. Okay, it should be sorted by table, then column, table, then column. Okay, but my A, my A, my. I got my table 4 times. Did I? Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, sorry. The table, my column. My table, my column. Okay. My table, a column. The table, the column. All right, let's try that again. Okay, good. Okay, so I think what this says is ScopedColumn uses the reference information to get the original column name and sorts by that. Okay. Now, let's see who else is failing. there are other tests that are failing because they don't have this table selection stuff. Yep. Okay. Scope columns. Now this is the database side. All right. We have a database selection. Yeah, fine. Database selection, we get a table. We get the rename table. Table selections, okay. And then we build a table ID to table map. I don't think it needs this anymore because we've fixed the error there. All right. Now, table ID, scope column. Okay, so new table, another column. Right, so his field, is it, yeah, reference ID. Okay, so new table, another column. Huh, this one is looking for the renamed one. And new table. I think this one is trying to do the rename. All tables use my column now. Oh, that's the old one. Okay. Okay, let's see this fail again. Nothing, another table is not equal to new table in the column. Okay. New table. All right, I'm going to save this one because I think that's the first rename thing. Now this, I don't even know what this one's testing. Valid SQL database can find the actual tables and columns. So this is kind of an integration test. Okay, so we create a table, the table with a field id. We get the metadata. Yes, the scoped columns map. Well, we don't have a reference. We don't have a selection either. So I think we have to create one. Well, is this really about the scoped columns? I guess it is kind of. We're saying the database should know its scoped columns. All right, let's, where's the DB? Okay. This is what makes me think the database has no business doing this. Let's check this again. Who calls that? Database view, SQL database tests. Okay, database view. Well, that's real code. Database.ScopedColumns. I think this one can become, where's our tables database selection? Bridge dot. It's the button. Okay, so if we take bridge.selection, has this. Okay, let's go back and I don't know. We'll see what's failing on the other one. Database selection test. Okay, that's a rename test. I'll say renaming scoped columns. All right. That's two assertions. Okay, this one, I really want to get that test out of here. If these can use scoped columns in the selection, then we're okay. All right, so database.ScopedColumns, I would really like to say bridge.selection.ScopedColumns. Right, we've been working on that. What's your problem? Okay. All right, and then same thing here. Okay. And then this, I don't think is used other than these tests. The thing knows it's metadata. I think that is fine. Scope columns. Okay. Oh, let me go back. What happened? What? I think I deleted the right stuff. Oh. Form. Something. Let's diff this file database view. Database view. Okay. Section under database view tables. All right. All joins view. We change scope columns database.ScopedColumn to bridge.selection.ScopedColumns. Database.ScopedColumns to bridge.selection.ScopedColumn bridge.selection. Well, that seems harmless. It's kind of a pain that this is so long, but trailing closure path to form style configuration that does not accept a closure. Well, how do you fold? Trailing closure past primary forms. Yeah, I think it's the $sign is if you have a binding, but this is not trying to change those. It's just trying to use them. At least that's my that's my understanding anyway. Table selections is bird selection table selections. All joins view. All right, let's do this one. Database has tables. Section header, database joins. Trailing closure path to a time. How does the clean succeed and yet I still have a message without building, huh? Trailing closure. Well, I don't see a trailing closure there. Form style configuration. It's weird to me because I just didn't make that much change there. Can I see a diff here? I know there used to be a way to see this thing. Okay, I'm going to revert this one and try and... okay. Yeah, I mean, it seemed like the formatting was okay, but now that Xcode's collapsed on us. Okay, I'm gonna put the, yeah. Okay. I'm gonna delete, revert this one. Where's that view? Okay. Okay, this is a little weird. Why? Okay, I gotta take out this section. I mean, things look nested properly. It's a bit big, but no error. Pull this back in. Now, why did I put the button back in? This is... Okay, so that's failing the build. Yeah, maybe it is. Oh, joins you. Well, that looks pretty simple. That goes to that. Parens. That goes to the view, and that's the whole thing. So it's not all joins view. Yeah, these are long lines, but excuse me. All right, if I take out the joins section and build, okay. So let's take out, let's put this back. Oh, weird. Was this really not on? This is all one big line. Oh, I don't want any of these views, sorry. Okay, I see what's going on now. All right. Why am I getting this view? All right, revert it again. I don't want any comparisons. Okay, here's my joins view. I'm going to take out joins view. Take out the button. I don't know how come I'm getting these complete comparisons now. Show source control changes. Okay, it's in source control. Show source control changes. That one I don't mind. No, I don't think I changed any of this, but refresh status, fetch, add and remove select files. Okay, that all seems good. That's boring. Okay. I don't know. Ugh. Yeah, it's hard to read it because they're forcing me to have this view, but the old way was have the joins view, and I turned that off. And the old one had a button that I've turned off, and then this matches up to the section. So this should build because there's no troublemaker here. And we're trying to figure out which one's the troublemaker. And it succeeded. Okay, let's put this one back. All right, so he's there. Why am I getting red lines? Okay. If I take him out, it should build. Okay. And let's try the button. Huh. Doesn't matter which one I do. Oh, wait a minute. If I revert, build. Let's make sure these have the right table to ref tables. Table ref to table selection. Okay, that seems fine. Database.ScopedColumns. Now that does seem funny, doesn't it? Yeah, we took that out. Okay, so let's change this to bridge dot selection dot scoped columns. Okay. Then let's take out the button. Does that build? No. I don't think this should be needed. Usually it should complain if it doesn't. Yeah. All right. So okay, this is the current form. Let's look at database. It's not selection, is it? It's SQL database. Okay. That's all this. Let's revert this one too. Okay, database view, I'm reverting. I may revert everything before all is said and done here. SQL database. Revert. Scoped column with table selection ID. We change that name, reference ID. Make sure database scope columns. Yeah. Okay. Well, unfortunately, I'm reading my clock right. It's out of time. We're out of time. I think, I don't know, do I have enough signal to pick up here tomorrow? We've gone a very long time on sort of a speculative approach, although all the other approaches, they bombed far sooner than this. So maybe this is okay. But we want to be using the version that's on the database selection, because the database itself doesn't know anything about scoped columns or database selection. Yeah, so if that's the only failure. Yeah, so, okay, so I'm going to make the to-do remove SQL database.scoped columns, and then allow renaming. Okay. So I think we'll pick up there tomorrow. I'm not sure what went wrong in this, but I don't know. We're making progress, I think. I mean, we've got the information to compare renames instead of the original table. So we'll see. All right. Yeah, time flies. All right. Well, next time is tomorrow, 2 to 4:30 Eastern or 7 to 9:30 p.m. UTC. Thanks for joining. I feel like we've been out on a limb the whole day, but We've checked in a few times and we've hit some green points, but I'd feel better when we hit another one. All right, take care. Bye-bye.